The following program is a Town of Colonie television production of the William K. Sanford Town Library.
Hello everyone and welcome to Young at Heart. I don't know what time you're seeing this, but either good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, because we are on 1303 is the cable channel on Spectrum, and we hope that you're going to enjoy our programs that we bring to you every month. This is a production of the Town of Colonie Library and of the Albany County Department for Aging. My name is Tom Scarff, I'm your host, and I'm also a senior advisor to the Commissioner of the Albany County Department for Aging. Today we're going to talk about something that is really important, and I say important because there is a push in our country right now, and probably most of the world, to keep people in their homes as long as possible, even those who are disabled, and our seniors who may have some problems with mobility. And it's a very, very important part of the aging process is to be able to age in your home with dignity. And today I'm going to talk with a person who helps do just that. She is the owner of Scofield Access Solutions, and my guest today is Carolyn Scofield. Welcome.
Thank you, Tom. It's a pleasure being here.
It's great having you on here. Carolyn is also one of our stakeholders in the age-friendly program that we are doing in Albany County, which is going along quite well. And Carolyn has been at all of our meetings, and we really appreciate that. Carolyn, tell me a little bit about what Scofield Access Solutions is about.
Well, our primary focus is keeping people in the home, and first and foremost, educating them on what's available, talking about their options, helping them prepare for the future in terms of wanting to stay there in their home. In most cases, people have lived in their home for 20, 30 years, and they don't want to leave. And it's just the physical barriers that is the issue in their home. And I talk about them and identify them, and I provide their solutions, whether it be in-home adaptive equipment or home modifications, to help them at least be able to have all the options to make the decision on what they want to do moving forward.
Now you have certification also, and what is that certification?
I am it's called CAPS, C-A-P-S, which stands for Certified Aging in Place Specialist.
Okay.
And that is an accreditation you receive through additional coursework you can take through the National Home Builders Association, which helps professionals like me be aware of the how to handle sensitive situations with people who are aging or disabled, but also to be aware of the various financial constraints, and they pinpoint physical barriers that we should be aware of if we're not already aware of it.
Now, when you say financial constraints, I want to get to that.
Yes.
What exactly do you mean?
Financial constraints is more or less to identify that these people, or for us to be aware of, should I say, that these people could potentially be on a fixed income. To where we need to be sensitive to that and provide help and resources to let them know what's available, whether it's through a Medicaid waiver program, through a grant program, things like that. But they more or less just focus on the awareness of it as a whole, because there's several different barriers that people face when it comes to any type of home modification, regardless whether it is for aging in place or whether it is for people like me who I just want, a new kitchen.
Mm-hmm. So let's say that I'm in a wheelchair.
Okay.
And I want to stay in my home, but I don't have any way to get down.
Okay.
Get out.
Okay.
What would you do? Do you provide ramps and things like that?
Yes, depending on the circumstances, meaning whether there's back stairs, front stairs, which is very common here in the Northeast, whether there's stairs to a second level. And it's interior versus exterior, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Depending on the site restrictions, which could be you have a sidewalk directly out in front of your house, a ramp may not always be suitable, but it's something that we do provide. Typically, ramps are for, small landings or such, especially the portable ones, to make it more affordable for people. If it's a situation where it's, 4 steps up, you're looking at 48 inches approximately, give or take some. Then that in turn I would actually be talking about an accessible wheelchair lift for someone to be able to wheel onto a platform and then push a button and go up, have a top gate and swing onto the landing, for them to be able to wheel onto their top porch and then go into their building, which actually my philosophy is you start from the outside working in. You have the wheelchair lift, and then you walk in, and typically buildings have thresholds. So then in that situation, you do a little threshold ramp to compensate for that couple inch of rise for that person in a wheelchair to be able to go up and safely get into their home.
Now, you said the magic word when you said portable ramps. I didn't know there were portable ramps.
Yes, there are portable ramps that'll actually fold right up in a suitcase.
So that's more affordable.
Those are more affordable, yes.
So somebody could actually take the ramp with them.
Yes.
And put it, if they're going to a store or something like that, put it outside and wheel themselves in.
Depending on how long the ramp is, yes.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. Now let's talk about the interior.
Yes.
What type of interior retrofitting would you do to keep somebody in their home?
Well, I personally, there's a lot of dynamics to the caps. There are people out there that go in and they're kind of like interior decorators. They go in and they look for the rugs, and the rugs that could potentially be a tripping hazard, the thresholds where you would have to walk or wheel over into the doorways, which that leads me to the next thing. To answer your question, one obstacle is the doorways. Contractors back in the day that were building houses didn't take into consideration what the average size of a wheelchair is.
Right.
So I'm looking for doorways.
Do they have to today?
Yes.
Is that
Builders
part
are
of the ADA?
required. Yep, it's part of ADA. It's part of the CAPS program.
Okay.
Anybody building a house, which there are builders that are sensitive to those things, they are modifying and/or building with doorways 36 inches wide.
ADA being the Americans with Disability Act, and that's something that has really done an awful lot to also help people stay in their homes. There's certain requirements now that builders have to live by, and businesses and everything else in order to in order to be able to open, right?
That's correct. Yes, the ADA, it's basically what I say is a universal design. Like the Aging in Place program, we want a universal design to make sure that no matter how old we are or what physical limitation we have, we still have the ability, just as somebody that has their full mobility can get in and out of their house, get in and out of a building. That's kind of the concept of ADA, is to be fair to everybody across the board.
I have a problem because it's a personal problem with my legs and stuff like that, so I really can't walk very well. And I was at a supermarket the other day, and normally I'll take one of the carts that you can wheel around in. Well, they didn't have any. Okay. But the shopping carts were probably 100 feet away from the door. And I came back and I said to the guy, I said, look, I said, that's not very handicap friendly or age friendly,
Right.
And he said, well, there's no other place for us to put it. Now, in today's world, I would think that they'd be able to put them other places, because there are an awful lot of people that as we age older, and now a lot of people are living into their 90s, you have certain things that you need to take care of.
Absolutely.
And that's what you help people with.
Absolutely.
Now, do you also work with businesses, or is it just individual homes?
I work with businesses as well, mostly architects who are preparing for commercial buildings, and they don't have that large rise, if you will, the vertical travel or the multiple floors. They just have a small vertical travel, if you will. And then they're typically looking for specifications on wheelchair lifts to be able to put them and accommodate somebody who's in a wheelchair that needs to get up to a second level.
Okay. So, all right. Now, I also want to talk to you about grab bars.
Yes.
Because in my time with the Department for Aging, I spoke to a woman who was going into a nursing home, very upset about going into a nursing home.
I could imagine.
She didn't have grab bars, and that's the only real reason why. And that she was going in. I can't get in and out of my tub. I can't get up from from the commode and things like that.
Breaks my heart to hear that.
Yeah, so she was asking questions about our nursing home, and she finally realized that that's what she needed. She's still in her home now. How expensive are grab bars? Because this lady is like, are they very expensive?
Not at all. You can
not.
buy them at any hardware store like
can.
Security Supply or Home Depot or something like that. The misleading part is that unfortunately people aren't aware of what's available. That's first and foremost. But it's basically stay away from the grab bars that have the suction cups, because like anything,
off, right?
Yeah, like anything, like you put your Easy Pass in your car, those over time, those suction cups are going to wear, and you don't want your loved one or yourself grabbing onto those. And basically, you just have to find a reliable person, a contractor, to be able to attach those. You find a stud. You attach it accordingly, and that way it's securely part of the structure. And it's very affordable. You could probably get a grab rail for under $30.
Okay.
And if time is money, unfortunately, and if you don't, a lot of people don't have resources in terms of connections with people, because a lot of people, especially as they age, they become isolated because of health issues. They're not able to go out to functions or family events and things like that. So it's important to find a reliable contractor in the area that can provide those kind of things, and if they can't, they at least have the ability to find someone who can.
Now, the Department for Aging, Albany County Department for Aging, this fall is going to have a seminar on social isolation.
Okay.
Now, how important is that, do you think, in the world of aging? Because some people are never out of their homes.
That is something that me meaning people like myself, we are not. If you're not in the business, you're not necessarily, or you don't have a relative who is in that situation, just don't know. In my opinion, that we as a society should be addressing the isolation first and foremost. And so when we talk about the Age-Friendly Albany County project, and I think in one of our initial meetings, I had mentioned like, hey, we should start with housing first, because with social isolation, you get the depression, there's a lot of other psychological stuff or emotional things that you go through. And it's important, these are our elders, and it's important for us to keep them active. But we need to understand that, because once we understand that, everything else goes into place. Like I remember way back in the day, because I've been doing this since 2001, and my focus has always been keeping people in their home. And I would receive pushback from a lot of medical professionals, such as like physical therapists, going, I want those people to walk. Why are you providing them a stairway chairlift, for instance, to go on your stairs, which is basically a chair, you sit down, you hold the button, you ride up sideways. Why are you selling that to them, or why are you offering that as an option? Because they should be doing the stairs. Well, they didn't understand the fact that they weren't considering the fact that people, yes, they should exercise, but they should exercise on an even plane. They shouldn't be going up the stairs. So to that point, if we talk about the isolation first, we'll have the core values and the understanding of what's needed moving forward. Then it's just a matter of working with the right professionals to get them in, to get them out. But isolation is a terrible thing, and even ordinary people that are old, much younger, like my age, that have depression, if you're not socialized, your quality of life goes down.
Yeah, well,
it's just tragic.
We hear that 33% of suicides in Albany County are older people.
I believe it.
And that's only the reported ones. That's not those that are not reported, like, taking overdoses and, just to end pain and stuff like that. But I feel that a lot of that has to do with loneliness and isolation and, as you said, depression and anxiety and everything else. So getting out of the house is so vitally important for them to be able to, and even if they're not able to get out of the house, to be able to have, there are programs where we have friendly visitors, we have a lot of things that will bring home delivered meals.
Meals on Wheels.
Meals on Wheels.
Important.
When the guy that or lady that's delivering the meals goes up to the house, at least there's conversation for 5 minutes.
Absolutely.
And that's so important. It's also important for that driver, that delivery person, to see that mail hasn't been brought in a couple days. Absolutely. And to make a call to have somebody check on the person. we had a person that had fallen and was down for 2 days, and thank God the home delivery driver found that, saw it, and called the authorities, and that person lived. So it is very important. It's vital. How does somebody contact? What is the process if somebody wants to have you come in and do an assessment?
It's just a matter of giving me a call
Okay.
on my phone number, 518-956-0345, or I have a website, saslift.com, and it stands for Scofield Access Solutions, lift, if you will, .com.
LYFT?
LIFT.
LIFT, okay.
LIFT. And just calling me and, giving a little brief explanation of the situation, so I kind of have an idea of what information to bring. They set up an appointment. I go out and spend an hour with them. I sit. It's the best part of my job. I sit and I have coffee with them or what have you, and I sit there and I learn about their situation. A lot of times they tell me about their family because they don't have visitors on a regular basis. And I start developing a relationship with people and really helping them identify things that they can do to make their life easier and to maintain and or improve their quality of life, whether it be a set of stairs that they need a stair lift on, whether it's, it could be the basement, it could be a second level where their bedrooms are and bathrooms are, which that's another issue. Bathrooms a lot of times in homes are in the second level, which in that case I would be looking at grab rails, possibly, an accessible shower or a commode seat, things like that. And I partner with a lot of companies in the area that offer various services, and I help my clients actually find the services that they need.
Now, do you actually do the work, or do you contract with people to do the work?
Stair lifts, I personally have done the work. I do the
Okay.
service and the installation, but when you're talking the large, the jobs such as accessible wheelchair lifts,
Right.
sometimes residential elevators, if there's a budget for it, modifying, a home for exterior ramp, various things. I work with reputable contractors in the area to get the job done. And
So
I
let's
oversee it.
talk about affordability. If somebody
Sure.
says, I'm on a fixed income, I have no, extra cash really. Are there programs that people can take advantage of to be able to do certain modifications to their homes?
There are, yes. There's actually some programs through the county, in Albany County, if you will.
That money's gone.
It is a gone. Oh boy. Well, in that case, we need to talk now.
And we applied for the grant again and did not get the grant again. I think next year maybe.
That's unfortunate. I do listen to podcasts actually, and there are financial organizations out there that will work with people that provide things like reverse mortgages. So if you have equity in your home and you don't have any cash, you can use the equity in your home to pay for these types of modifications. The most affordable and quickest solution, if you will, are like stairway chair lifts, because I can find a used one, depending, and that's even questionable because the manufacturers have modified the equipment so much. Used ones are available depending, which is where my expertise and my knowledge of the industry long-term comes in. Also, new units, as long as they're straight stairs, you can get something done for under, $3,500 if needed. And it doesn't matter if it's interior or exterior. They make lifts for each situation, so which is nice, and those are affordable. And sometimes that usually is the case where they can only afford the lift, which, at least at that point, I know that they have the ability to use their bathroom safely, and they're not bumping down the stairs on their behind, trying to get up or down.
Is it normally the consumer themselves, or is it the family that makes the initial contact with you?
I would say most cases, well, it's actually hard to say because it's a situation where it's both. Sometimes you have children who are very concerned, and it's the parents, and no, I don't need it. I don't need that. I'm independent. I don't want that, because they have that. I've noticed. I was raised by my great grandparents, and I noticed as people get older, they become more resistant to change, and they're fearing that we are taking their independence away. So in that situation, there's usually a family member that says, "I've been talking to my mom for a year about this, and finally," and unfortunately, some cases, it's usually when they have a fall or something and they're reactionary. But a lot of times it's the end user too. So it can go both ways.
But you're actually giving them independence.
I am, yes.
Rather than taking it away.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it's a misconception in the industry.
Yeah.
Hence my example with the physical therapist, which thank God I receive less pushback with those because it's more or less safety, even based on statistics, and on how, like AARP does a lot of reports and stuff based on how many falls are in the home, and it's primarily with people who are aging and they slip and fall because they have some ailment that affects their balance or
Now,
something.
do you ever do temporary modifications where somebody says, okay, I had my knee replaced and I need some help for a while?
Yes, you can do rent with the option to purchase or rental.
Okay.
Yep, and that's typically I go out and find a used unit, and I offer them a very affordable installation and removal fee, and I ask for the first month rent, and they keep it for as long as they want. And when they decide to move or they pass or something, the family will call and say, okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
And then I go and I remove it, and I have that lift for the next person.
So that's a great idea. When even though you might not want something to, quote, take your independence away, sometimes it's just a temporary modification that you need. And, it's important to take that stigma of, my independence is going if I start doing this. And at 67 years old, I'm starting to feel that way a lot of times. And I have to say to myself, this is part of the aging process. The physical ailments and physical disabilities and things like that, part of the aging process.
Well, it is.
60 years ago, 67 years old that was about the end of it, and now we see people that are in their 90s that are still working and are up and ready to do things.
Very much so.
And are able to take advantage of some of the programs that there are out there. Access Solution is a wonderful organization, a wonderful company, that will provide that independence for you, not take it away. And there are other companies too that do that.
Absolutely.
As well. But Carolyn happens to be a member of our age-friendly Albany County Stakeholders Committee, and one of the things that we do is to try to provide independence for our older residents. I guess senior citizen is no longer what you're supposed to call us or elders or anything like that. So now they're saying third age, which I'm not sure exactly what that is. I hope I have 4 ages.
Well, there's a YouTube video out there referred to as the third act.
Third act.
By an actress, Jane Fonda, who talks about
the
third act, who lives, and it's basically like I'm 70 now or 70 something, and like we are living longer, we're healthier because of all the advances in technology, and you have to just have that mindset to push forward because we're living longer. So there's so many other things in life that you may not have been able to get accomplished when you were younger, but today is today, and like we all should be focusing on today.
Right.
And the third act is like you're living longer, you need to take advantage of this. So, and I think that I don't know if that's where it's from. Anybody I speak to that talks about aging, and I'm getting older, and I'm like, you gotta watch this video. You got it, because it helps people at any age to realize that.
She looks great too.
Yes, she does.
She's in her late 70s.
Yes, and I admire that, and and I love the fact that people are really thinking ahead, and it's really becoming a movement, because it's been a long time coming for this.
So you actually have a relationship with with many of your clients.
Oh, very much so.
And that goes on even after you've installed
Very much so.
Really?
Very much so. I'd mentioned before, one of my favorite things, favorite parts of my job is meeting with people, and most of my clients are of the older population, if you will, and it gives me the opportunity to give back. When I was younger, I was raised by my great-grandparents till I was 9, and they had a lot of physical ailments, and I had to leave when I was 9 and go live with somebody else in my family because they were older, and they couldn't physically, emotionally, and mentally take care of me anymore. And it broke my heart. And they both were in nursing homes prematurely, and it was just a lack of awareness, lack of resources, and when I ended up in the industry, I was fortunate enough to get an office position in the industry 16 years ago, actually August 6th. I just fit. it was just the job fit for me and the industry fit for me, because all of a sudden I realized, I'm like, these are people like my folks. And so it's like I take it very seriously, and I enjoy, and it's a remembrance of, in their honor, to talk with people and to actually help people and give people the knowledge and resources that we as a family back then didn't have.
But I get the feeling that your passion for older people it transcends a lot more than just the job that you do. That,
Very much so.
Where do you think that passion came from? You think it was your grandparents?
I think, yeah, I think that in my background, people have their struggles, and we are all only human, and I think it's that sense of community, if you will, that it's our responsibility. In my philosophy, it wasn't for our elders or our ancestors who went through the sacrifices for us today, we wouldn't be who we are today. So it's like the old Indians with the elders were and I know unfortunately a lot of times society today they don't necessarily think that way.
In this country.
In this country. Right. Yes, in this country. And shame on us. And just like babies grow up, and those are kids. That's our next generation. We have to honor them and teach them and give them the resources that they need to carry on with their lives. And I think a way of the cycle of life, it's our responsibility to give back to our elders, so to speak. And that's, it's not an uncommon perspective, but I'm just so grateful for who I had in my life, and they just happen to be people who were aging. My great-grandfather was born in 1911, and my great-grandmother was born in 1923. And here I come. Their retirement age, and and I honor that experience.
In many nations around the world, many societies, children, even young adults, sit and listen to the stories that the elders tell, and they revere them. And I think that there's a move in this country right now to treat our older citizens a lot better than we used to, because it used to be as soon as mom or dad were a problem, you put them in a nursing home.
Yes.
It used to be Anley Home here in Albany, or the Albany County Nursing Home. But in today's world, there are many people who say that it's more important for us to be able to provide the tools for people to stay in their homes than it was back in the old days.
Very much. But it's been proven that it's a better quality of life to keep people in their home, because that's where their memories are. That's where their family comes to visit them. Their friends come to visit them. And they've made a life for themselves. You take them out and you put them in a nursing home where they stare out a window, so to speak. That's your stereotypical image of a nursing home. And then their mind goes. Well, but I think it's also important to realize that there are people who have to go into a nursing home. Very much so.
And I think
very much so.
There's a lot of today, dementia is a terrible plague that we have in this country, it seems. But why is it? Because people are living older, and that's just part of the aging process for some people. It's a disease like anything else. But at some point, that person gets to the point that there is no helping them in their homes any longer. So, and that's why nursing homes are important in our society today.
Absolutely.
So your passion comes from your great-grandparents and just your life, you think, for older people.
Very much so.
And this is your job now, is to make sure that people.
It's my role. It's my role. I don't look at it as a job.
Okay.
It's my role. It's. I believe that we all have a purpose in life, no matter what your religion beliefs are, and we identify it when we identify it, and we realize that we have gifts and talents to share with the world. And I think we all have a role to give back to each other and be there. It's like the old Little House on the Prairie concept, where your neighbors helped your neighbors. And I wholeheartedly believe in that, because we are such, we are as a human race, look at everything that we've accomplished.
Well, there's a new push for what's called the villages, which is neighbors helping neighbors. Again, it's kind of like a NORC is what they call it, but it's really just neighbors helping neighbors, making sure that people, if you need something fixed and there's somebody in the neighborhood who does that work, they do that work. If you are sick and there's nobody to watch you, they will watch you.
Absolutely.
And that's the way, everybody thinks this is a new concept. When I was growing up, That's what it was. It was
Absolutely.
actually a neighborhood, and that whole concept of neighborhoods is gone.
It is.
You know, where people where people can sit on their porches and talk to each other. Many times, neighbors never talk to each other.
That's right.
You know, even though you might be right next door, it's you don't even know who they are.
That's right.
You know, and that's sad because nobody introduces each other anymore. There's just so many things that used to happen that hopefully will be able to happen again, because the quality of life back in those days was, even though you didn't live as long as you do today, the quality of life was wonderful in the 50s.
I agree.
You know, it was a great thing. Well, Carolyn, I want to thank you.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
It's Scofield Access Solutions, and it's a wonderful company that will provide your loved ones or yourself with the tools that they need to stay in their home if they have physical disabilities. And it's just a great program. I hope that you enjoyed this show. Carolyn, thank you once again.
Thank you so much.
I will see you next month on Young at Heart.